You ever take a close look at a video game console? Or one of its controllers or its power supply? You find this little identifying code. Now, some of these codes make perfect sense, others not so much. Well, today, I thought I'd take a look at as many as I could and share what I turn up in this video. Now, these codes obviously mean something, but to my knowledge, there isn't any definite proof as to what they actually stand for, but I will offer my best guess. But to be clear, that's pure speculation. If there are any real quotes or documents to reference, leave it in the comments. Now, I'm going to start off with Nintendo consoles because they're the most consistent and arguably the most interesting. With only one exception, all of these codes begin with 3 alpha characters followed by 001, or if it's a major enough revision, 101. Or in 2 cases, 201, and in 1 case, 301. Now, despite my claim that they're more consistent, that's not always the case when it comes to the revisions. Later on down the road, Nintendo tends to pick and choose what a revision actually is. Let's take a look. Starting off with the simplest, here in the US, we have the Nintendo Entertainment System and the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, with NES 001 and SNES 001. Pretty straightforward. The revisions commonly referred to as the top loader and the SNES Jr. got NES 101 and SNES 101 respectively. You can find this code on the controllers, the power supply, and really any first-party peripherals. Now, as most people are aware, the Japanese counterparts to these consoles are the Family Computer, or Famicom, and the Super Famicom. With that, they also got different codes. The Famicom got HVC 001, and the AV Famicom got HVC 101. If you're curious, the Famicom disk system requires the Famicom to operate, hence the code HVC 022. Now, onto the exception that I mentioned earlier, the Super Famicom is our only rule breaker. It was given the code SHVC 001, making it 4 alpha characters, followed by 001. Now, for the remaining Nintendo consoles, they share a product code and retail name across the US and Japan. Sorry, Europe. SCART was great, but I don't have weird 50 Hz electricity. The N64 got NUS 001, and strangely enough, the Pikachu N64 got NUS 101. Onto the GameCube, we find DOL 001. The later GameCube DOL 101 came with firmware specifically to lock out action replay discs, remove the digital out port, and the serial port 2. And the disc cover shell was also redesigned to make removing the nameplate impossible, unlike the previous GameCube where it just pops right off. Here we have the Wii. Nintendo sold over 100 million Wii consoles, and all of those consoles had the product code RVL. Of course, the original Wii model got RVL 001, the Wii Family Edition, which lacked GameCube memory card and controller ports, got RVL 101, and the strange Wii Mini got RVL 201. The Wii U goes ahead and breaks the rules by not having a major revision later in its life, but launching with one. The white 8GB basic model received the code WUP001, and the black 32GB model received the code WUP101. Some white Wii U models did contain the 32GB of storage and the code WUP101. There were also 4 internal board revisions of the Wii U, but none of these ever resulted in a change in product code. As for the latest Nintendo console, the Nintendo Switch, the regular Switch model has HAC 001, the handheld-only Switch Lite has HDH 001, and the OLED Switch model has HEG 001. Before I speculate on what these codes actually mean, let's do a quick rundown of all of Nintendo's portable consoles. First up, the original Game Boy. The big gray brick has the code DMG 001. The Game Boy Pocket has MGB 001, while the Japanese exclusive Game Boy Light has MGB 101. The Game Boy Color received the code CGB 001. The hardly portable Virtual Boy got the code VUE 001. The Game Boy Advance line of handhelds was pretty straightforward right up until the final model. The original Game Boy Advance has AGB 001, while the front-lit GBA-SP has AGS 001, and the later backlit SP got AGS 101. Finally, the Game Boy Micro, which has the strange OXY001 model code. Now, the dual screen line of Nintendo handhelds go from less straightforward to completely off the rails. The original Fat DS isn't NDS, it's NTR001. While the very nice DS Lite got USG001, the DSi got TWL001, and the DSi XL got UTL001.
They're the same picture.
With the 3DS family, Nintendo got a little unhinged, sporting 6 distinct models, of which I only have 2, but we're going to touch on all of them. Go. The original 3DS is CTR001, the 3DS XL is SPR001, the 2DS is FTR001, the new 2DS XL is JAN001, the new 3DS is labeled KTR001, and finally, the new 3DS XL is RED001. Now, with all the codes out of the way, I almost forgot to mention the Nintendo Classic Mini Series. They received CLV001 for the Mini NES, CLV101 for the Mini Famicom, CLV201 for the Mini SNES, and CLV301 for the Mini Super Famicom. Let's pull into Speculation Station and see if we can decipher what all these codes mean. For NES and SNES, it's pretty simple. NES is just an abbreviation for the Nintendo Entertainment System, and SNS, Super Nintendo System. I guess between the release of the Super Famicom and the Super NES, they decided to make the 3 alpha character thing a rule. As for the Famicom, HVC probably stands for Home Video Computer, which means our 4-digit friend the Super Famicom. SHVC stands for Super Home Video Computer. Moving on, NUS likely stands for Nintendo Ultra 64, which was one of its code names before Project Reality. We're going to be talking about code names a lot. The GameCube was internally known as Project Dolphin, which is almost certainly where the DOL comes from. As for the Wii, it was first revealed as the Revolution, which is probably where we get the RVL code. Just like the Wii U ruined Nintendo's financial situation, it also ruined that beautiful code consistency. This one, I think, was just what the developers said when they gave the green light to manufacture. Whoops. Or maybe it's Wii U Project, but I prefer whoops. The Switch is where we enter downtown Speculation City. I've seen handheld and console thrown around online, but for the Switch Lite, handheld only? And for the Switch OLED, I don't even know. Handheld good screen. Portable game consoles. Okay, let's speed this up. DMG stands for Dot Matrix Game. See, it says right there. MGB probably stands for Mini Game Boy. CGB, likely Color Game Boy. VUE allegedly stands for Virtual Utopia Experience. It's not. Then AGB probably stands for Advanced Game Boy, but Nintendo did have Project Atlantis in 1996, which was allegedly the next evolution of the Game Boy. So Atlantis Game Boy is not off the table. AGS. Best guess is Advanced Game Boy Special. There is an archived frequently asked questions page on Nintendo.com that states that the SP in GBA SP does mean special. Game Boy Micro. OXY? I have no idea. I did find some places online, nothing official, that stated that the project name was Oxygen. NTR on the DS almost certainly means its project name Nitro, which there's a ton of evidence for, from its development kits to the Nitro cart in Mario Kart DS. The DS Lite, we have unofficial places online saying it's a Japanese word for thin or slim, Usugata, which sounds likely, but I could not dig up anything official. TWL, again, allegedly refers to its name, Project Twilight, which I guess would make the DSi XL's UTL Ultra Twilight. Continuing with project names, CTR probably refers to Project Citrus, and for the rest of the 3DS family, it's completely up in the air. I don't think anybody really knows what these mean, so I'm gonna have to make up my own. Rapid fire, here we go. 3DS, bigger screen, same resolution. SPR, surprisingly readable. 2DS, doesn't have a hinge? I take it as a challenge. Fold this, read. The new 3DS got KTR, which people have speculated is Control, like with a K, because of the extra nub. The new 2DS XL returns to the folding clamshell design and got JAN, which is just another Nintendo handheld. And finally, the new 3DS XL got RED. It's just a redesign. I kept seeing online that CLV meant Clover. I don't know where it came from, so maybe I didn't dig deep enough. With all of that out of the way, if you made it to the end of the video, I just want to say thank you for watching. You must be a little interested in this obscure trivia, so stay tuned for the next video, where I'll be going over the codes found on the Sega and Sony consoles. Bye for now.